The Omnitrix was designed for one alien at a time. The franchise has spent 20 years breaking that rule in every direction, producing chimeras, glitches, grafts, and deliberate hybrids whose combined power either exceeds or catastrophically undermines the aliens they were built from. Here is every fusion explained. The faceplate fusions. They were accidents, and the accidents were disasters. In the original Ben 10 episode, Dr. Animo and the Mutant Ray, 10-year-old Ben removes the Omnitrix faceplate with a screwdriver because he is curious, and because 10-year-olds with alien technology have never once in the history of the franchise demonstrated impulse control. Without the faceplate regulating the DNA selection process, the Omnitrix begins producing random hybrid transformations that fuse two alien species into a single body with the abilities of both and the stability of neither. Stinkarms is the fusion of Stinkfly and Four Arms, a six-limbed insectoid with Tetraman strength and Lepidopter in flight, whose body is an incoherent collision of exoskeleton and muscle tissue that the show depicts as visually grotesque and functionally chaotic. Diamond Matter fuses Diamond Head and Gray Matter, producing a 5-inch Petrosapien whose crystal body can generate small shards and whose Galvan intellect is trapped inside a frame too tiny to apply it effectively. And Heat Jaws fuses Heat Blast and Rip Jaws, combining a fire-based Pyronite with a water-dependent Piscis Volan in a biological contradiction so severe that the fusion's own abilities fight each other, fire and water coexisting inside a single body whose Pyronite half wants to burn, and whose Piscis Volan half will die if it dries out. The faceplate fusions are the franchise's first statement about what happens when alien DNA is combined without oversight. The result is not power. It is dysfunction, two evolutionary solutions forced into one body that was designed for neither, producing a creature that is less than the sum of its parts because the parts were never meant to be summed. Ben recovers the faceplate. The fusions end. And the franchise does not revisit the concept for years, but when it does, it revisits it with a device specifically designed to make the process work. Kevin 11. The franchise's first deliberate fusion is also its most famous, and the horror of it is not the power it produces, but the permanence. Kevin Levin absorbs the Omnitrix energy feedback during a fight with Ben in the original series, copying the DNA of all 10 starting aliens into his osmotion biology simultaneously. The absorption does not produce 10 separate transformations. It produces one permanent mutation, a chimeric body that fuses elements of every alien into a single grotesque form that Kevin cannot turn off. Heat Blast's left arm, Diamond Head's right arm, Four Arms' musculature across his upper body, Stinkfly's wings protruding from his back, XLR8's tail extending behind him, Wildmutt's facial features, Ripjaw's jaw structure. Each alien's contribution is running at approximately 1/10 power, but the contributions stack in combinations the Omnitrix was never designed to allow. Kevin can fire Heat Blast flames while striking with Diamond Head's Crystal Fist at XLR8 speed, combinations that no single transformation can replicate because single transformations do not combine abilities from different species. The fusion is powerful. It is also a prison. Kevin cannot revert to human form. He cannot separate the aliens. He is trapped inside a body that is 10 aliens and 0 of them simultaneously, a permanent resident of a mutation that the Omnitrix would never have produced because the Omnitrix safety protocols exist specifically to prevent this kind of uncontrolled DNA merger. Kevin 11 is the franchise's foundational fusion because it establishes the principle that governs every fusion on this list. Combining aliens produces power that exceeds the individual components, and the cost of that power is always the person inside the combination. If you're enjoying this so far, hit the subscribe button and leave a comment with the Ben 10 fusion you think is the most powerful. Let us get back into it. By your Kevin 11,000 towns. The future version absorbed more, and the more consumed him entirely. In the original series episode Ken 10 set in the Ben 10,000 timeline, an adult Kevin Levin has spent decades absorbing additional alien DNA from every Omnitrix user he encounters, and the chimeric mutation that began with 10 aliens has expanded into a monstrous form incorporating dozens of species. Kevin 11,000's body is barely recognizable as humanoid. The proportions are wrong, the limbs are asymmetric, the face is a collision of features from species whose anatomies were never designed to coexist inside the same skull. Where Kevin 11 was grotesque, Kevin 11,000 is nightmarish, a biological catastrophe whose continued survival suggests that whatever keeps him alive is not biology in any conventional sense, but the osmotion absorption power, sustaining a body that should have collapsed under its own contradictions decades ago. Kevin 11,000's power output massively exceeds Kevin 11's because the additional DNA samples provide additional abilities at the same stacking rate, but his sanity has degraded proportionally. The psychological cost of Osmosian absorption scales with the volume of energy absorbed, and Kevin 11,000 has absorbed so much alien DNA that the person who began the process is effectively gone, replaced by an appetite wearing a body that exists to feed itself more DNA. Kevin 11,000 is the franchise's most disturbing fusion because he shows the endpoint of the curve that Kevin 11 began. Absorb enough, and there is no Kevin left. There is only the absorption. Ultimate Kevin. He absorbed every ultimate form at once, and the absorption destroyed 3 seasons of redemption in a single episode. Kevin Levin in Ben 10 Ultimate Alien deliberately absorbs the energy of the Ultimatrix to defeat Agrigor, a villain whose power level exceeds what Team Tennyson can handle through conventional transformations. The absorption works. Kevin defeats Agrigor, and then Kevin keeps absorbing, the energy overwhelming his osmotion biology and triggering a chimeric mutation that incorporates visible elements of every ultimate form in the Ultimatrix roster into a single body. Ultimate Humungosaur's armor plating covers his chest. Ultimate Big Chill's flame wings extend from his back. Ultimate Swampfire's petrified bark layers across his arms. Ultimate Echo's sonic discs orbit his body. Ultimate Cannonbolt's spike formations protrude from his shoulders. The power is enormous. The sanity is gone. Kevin's mental stability collapses under the weight of the absorbed energy, and the man who spent 2 full series earning his redemption, controlling his powers, and building relationships with Gwen and Ben reverts to the violent, impulsive aggressor he was as a child. Ultimate Kevin attacks allies. He pursues enemies with lethal intent. He threatens Gwen. He forces Ben to consider killing him, a narrative escalation that the franchise treats with appropriate weight because the decision would undo the most important character arc the show has produced. Ultimate Kevin is the franchise's most emotionally devastating fusion because the audience has spent years watching Kevin become someone worth caring about, and the fusion erases that someone in a single transformation. Atomic X. The Biomnitrix's most powerful creation combines the 2 highest ceiling aliens in the Omnitrix into a single form, and the result is exactly as overwhelming as the components suggest. Atomic X is the fusion of Alien X and Atomix, created through Ben 10,000's Biomnitrix in the Omniverse episode A New Dawn, and its power output approaches the theoretical maximum of what the Omnitrix's DNA library can produce in a single transformation. Alien X contributes reality manipulation, the ability to alter the fabric of existence through thought. Atomix contributes nuclear-level energy generation, the ability to produce and direct atomic force through biological processes. The fusion does not fully access Alien X's omnipotence because the celestial sapien DNA is diluted by the Atomix component, which means Atomic X cannot freely rewrite reality the way a pure Alien X can. What it can do is channel nuclear energy through a reality-adjacent framework that amplifies every attack to a level that no conventional defense can withstand. Atomic X nearly defeats Maltruant, a rogue chronosapien whose time manipulation abilities should make him functionally invincible, which places the fusion's combat output somewhere between the strongest standard alien and the weakest celestial sapien, a range so vast that the precise number is meaningless. Digin Fourmungosaur. He is the answer to 4 arms only limitation, delivered through the most straightforward fusion the Biomnitrix has ever produced. Fourmungosaur combines 4 arms tetramand DNA with Humungosaur's Vaxosaurian DNA, creating a 4-armed dinosaur warrior whose strength at base size exceeds either component and whose growth ability, inherited from the Vaxosaurian side, allows the fusion to scale from 12 feet to 60 feet with all 4 arms maintaining proportional strength at every size increment. The fusion solves 4 arms fixed size limitation. Standard 4 arms is 12 feet tall. He cannot grow. Enemies who exceed his size class can overcome his power through sheer mass. Fourmungosaur removes that ceiling entirely by adding variable growth to a frame that already carries twice the standard number of striking limbs. At maximum size, Fourmungosaur is a 60-foot four-armed colossus whose individual fists carry the proportional strength of building-sized tetramand arms, augmented by Vaxosaurian muscular enhancement. The franchise has never depicted anything surviving a direct hit from Fourmungosaur at full size because the franchise has never needed to. The fusion's existence is its own argument. Big Chuck. He is the most absurd Biomnitrix fusion, and the franchise is proof that combining aliens is not always about maximizing power. Big Chuck fuses Way Big's Tokastar DNA with Upchuck's Gourmand DNA, creating a 120-foot creature with the ability to eat anything and spit it back as explosive energy. The combination sounds devastating until the logistics register. Way Big's scale means Big Chuck's mouth is proportionally enormous, capable of consuming objects the size of buildings, and the Gourmand digestive system converts consumed matter into directed energy blasts, whose output scales with the mass ingested. In theory, Big Chuck could eat a warship and fire it back as a concentrated energy beam. In practice, Big Chuck is a kaiju-sized garbage disposal whose tactical application requires feeding it sufficient mass to charge its attacks, which means the fusion's effectiveness is directly proportional to how much stuff is lying around for it to eat. The absurdity is the point. Not every fusion is elegant. Some are powerful and ridiculous simultaneously, and Big Chuck's existence in Ben 10,000's roster proves that the adult version of Ben retained the 10-year-old sense of humor even after decades of combat experience refined everything else. Crashhawker. He hops and he electrocutes, and the combination is more effective than either ability alone. Crashhawker fuses Crashhopper's Orthopteran DNA with Shocksquatch's Gimlinopithecus DNA, producing a Grasshopper Yeti hybrid whose enhanced jumping legs generate kinetic energy that the Gimlinopithecus biology converts into electrical discharge on impact. Every landing is a shockwave. Every jump is a launch pad. The fusion's combat loop is continuous: leap, land, discharge, leap again, each cycle building more kinetic energy that translates into stronger electrical output upon the next impact. Crashhawker's effectiveness comes from the synergy between its component abilities rather than the raw power of either one. Crashhopper jumps but does not electrocute. Shocksquatch electrocutes but does not jump. Crashhawker does both simultaneously, and the combination produces a combat rhythm that neither component could sustain alone. Humungoopsaur. He is a 60-foot pile of slime shaped like a dinosaur, and the combination eliminates the weaknesses of both components simultaneously. Humungoopsaur fuses Humungosaur's Vaxosaurian DNA with Goop's polymorph DNA, creating a variable-sized shapeshifter whose body is composed of acidic slime held in a Vaxosaurian frame by an anti-gravity projector scaled up to accommodate the fusion's enormous mass. Standard Humungosaur's weakness is speed. He is big and slow. Humungoopsaur's polymorph component gives the fusion shape-shifting capability that negates the speed limitation because a creature made of slime does not need to move its legs to reposition. It flows. Standard Goop's weakness is the anti-gravity projector, an external device whose destruction renders the polymorph formless and helpless. Humungoopsaur's Vaxosaurian component gives the fusion a skeletal structure that maintains body integrity even without the projector, meaning the fusion can survive the loss of its external device in a way that Standard Goop cannot. Each component's strength covers the other component's weakness, and the resulting fusion has neither vulnerability. Uprig. He builds things that should not work, and they work anyway, and they work faster than anything either component could produce alone. Uprig fuses Upgrade's Mechamorph DNA with Jury Rig's Planchoculae DNA, creating a techno-organic gremlin whose compulsive drive to disassemble and rebuild machines is enhanced by the Mechamorph's ability to merge with technology and rewrite its programming in real time. Standard Jury Rig tears machines apart and reassembles them into new devices through mechanical intuition. Standard Upgrade merges with machines and enhances them through technological integration. Uprig does both simultaneously, disassembling a machine while merging with its components and rebuilding the result into something that incorporates both Jury Rig's creative engineering and Upgrade's technological enhancement. The fusion's output is devices that are not just rebuilt but evolved, machines whose functionality exceeds their original design by orders of magnitude, because the rebuild process and the enhancement process happen concurrently rather than sequentially. Skurd combinations. A sentient slime attached itself to the Omnitrix and started grafting alien parts onto transformations that were never designed to carry them. Skurd is a Slimebiote, an ancient organism that bonds with the Omnitrix during Omniverse and grants Ben the ability to grow additional alien appendages while already transformed. The function is augmentation rather than fusion. Ben transforms into one alien, and Skurd extends parts of other aliens from the Omnitrix's DNA library, grafting Diamond Head's crystal arms onto Feedback's body, attaching Four Arms' extra limbs onto Humungosaur's frame, or generating Heat Blast's fire hands on the end of Vampire's arms. The combinations are not stored. They are improvised, assembled in real time by Skurd based on his assessment of the combat situation, and the results are deliberately messy, mismatched body parts protruding from aliens whose physiology was never engineered to support them. Skurd's aristocratic personality adds commentary to every augmentation, his running narration treating the grafting process as an art form rather than a combat technique, and the banter between Skurd and Ben during fights makes the Slimebiote combinations the franchise's most collaborative fusion system. Every other fusion on this list is produced by a device. Skurd combinations are produced by a relationship. Glitch fusions. The mechamorph got inside the watch and the aliens started coming out wrong. Glitch is a mechamorph who merges with the Omnitrix during the Ben 10 reboot, and his presence inside the device produces hybrid transformations that blend alien biology with mechamorph technology in ways the Omnitrix programming cannot predict or control. Glitch Humungosaur gains mechanical augmentations that enhance his physical output. Glitch Shock Rock's energy constructs become more structured through mechamorph integration. Each glitch fusion is marked by green circuitry patterns running across the alien's body, visual indicators that the transformation has been modified by a technological organism whose code is now interwoven with the Omnitrix's genetic library. The glitch fusions are the reboot's most narratively personal fusion system because Glitch is a character. He has preferences about which aliens he wants to merge with. He has opinions about the results. And his presence inside the transformation means Ben is never alone in the cockpit, every glitch fusion a collaboration between two minds operating one body. XL, Arm Blast, Diamond Heat. The reboot broke the Omnitrix so badly that 4 aliens came out at once, and the result is the franchise's most chaotic fusion. XL, Arm Blast, Diamond Heat is a quad combination produced during a catastrophic Omnitrix malfunction in the reboot, fusing XLR8, Four Arms, Heat Blast, and Diamond Head into a single body whose limbs, abilities, and visual design are drawn from all 4 species simultaneously. The fusion has XLR8's speed, Four Arms' additional arms, Heat Blast's fire generation, and Diamond Head's crystal body, all operating inside a frame that was never designed to hold even 2 alien DNA samples, let alone 4. The result is visually incoherent and functionally devastating, a creature whose power output exceeds anything any individual component can produce, but whose body is barely stable enough to sustain the combination. XLR Arm Blast Diamond Heat exists for a single engagement and is never replicated because the malfunction that produced it is not a feature. It is a failure state, the Omnitrix doing something it was never programmed to do because the damage to its systems removed the safety protocols that prevent multi-alien fusions. The quad fusion is the franchise's most extreme fusion because it demonstrates what happens when every restriction is removed simultaneously. Reboot Kevin's Amalgam. The Antitrix overloaded, and Kevin became the monster the device was always building toward. In the reboot's later seasons, Kevin's Antitrix, the bootleg Omnitrix he constructed using Vilgax's instructions, malfunctions, and merges Kevin's body with the corrupted DNA of every alien in his roster simultaneously. The resulting amalgam is the reboot continuity's version of Kevin 11, a chimeric mutation that incorporates elements of Bashmouth, Dark Matter, Crystal Fist, Quad Smack, Hotshot, Rush, Thornblade, Undertow, Skunkmoth, and Wrecking Bolt into a single monstrous form. But the reboot amalgam differs from the classic Kevin 11 in one critical respect. The Antitrix aliens were already corrupted. Kevin deliberately modified their DNA to make them more aggressive, more powerful, and more dangerous than the Omnitrix originals they were copied from. When those already corrupted templates merge inside Kevin's body, the corruption compounds. The amalgam is not just a fusion of 10 aliens, it is a fusion of 10 corrupted aliens, each one carrying modifications designed to maximize damage, and the combination of those modifications produces a creature whose aggression exceeds anything the classic Kevin 11 ever demonstrated. The Reboot Amalgam Kevin is the franchise's most deliberately dangerous fusion because every component was engineered to be worse than its original, and the engineering survives the merger. And that is every alien fusion the Ben 10 franchise has ever produced. The pattern underneath all of them is the same warning, repeated in every continuity, through every device, across every combination. Fusing aliens produces power that the individual components cannot match, and the power always costs something that the person fusing them cannot afford. The faceplate fusions cost stability. Kevin 11 cost Kevin's body, Ultimate Kevin cost Kevin's mind. The Biomnitrix cost the elegance of individual transformations in exchange for the brute efficiency of paired ones, and the glitch fusions cost Ben's privacy inside his own cockpit. Every fusion on this list is a transaction, power purchase with a currency that the buyer does not fully understand until the bill arrives. Azimuth designed the Omnitrix for one alien at a time. One dial, one transformation, one clean DNA rewrite with safety protocols managing every variable. Every fusion on this list exists because someone decided that one at a time was not enough, and the franchise has spent 20 years proving that one at a time was the only number that was ever safe.